What's going on, guys? In this video, we're going to be doing another Q&A. I put something up on my Instagram a few days ago asking for questions. Excuse my eye, I've got a little bit of an infection, but let's dive right in. So the first question is, what is the best real estate development book? The reality is there is no book that is going to teach somebody how to start their own development company. What books I think are good for are shaping your mindset and getting your psychology in the right place. So when applied to business or starting a business like property development, you're going to have the necessary character traits, mental models, way of thinking that are going to help you succeed. But for the more tactical, strategic information that you can implement step by step, that's going to come from the form of mentors or courses that can give you technical information specific to where you are. But there are great books on business, which I think also property is a business. If you're full-time in property, you're going to be starting and growing a business. So in terms of hiring, leadership, culture, management, again, how to think and operate as a leader, those books are really powerful. But in terms of books that I would recommend somebody read to help them specific to property, some of my favorite books are What It Takes by Stephen Schwartzman. He's the founder, CEO of Blackstone, the biggest, most successful private equity real estate company in the world. There's Sam Zell, who wrote a book called Am I Being Too Subtle? Sam Zell was famous for actually being very direct and not being subtle at all. Passed away, unfortunately, last year. An old guy of old age, but he was very, very successful. So the last book I recommend specific to real estate is this. It's called What Every Real Estate Investor Needs to Know About Cash Flow and 36 Other Key Financial Measures. The reason I recommend this book is, if we think about my journey, I started off at, buying a property for 80 odd £1,000, putting in new kitchen, refurbishing it, and that it's nothing too technical. When I moved to London a number of years back, I started to spend time with people that studied finance. I got a master's in finance at King's College University in London, went into the corporate world and worked for private equity companies in real estate. And what I realized is these guys had never really started at the grassroots level at me, but they were doing these when I say multi-million, like transactions in the tens of millions that they were analyzing and assessing and deploying capital into. And the more time I spent with them, the more I realized that real estate is just a finance game, and the guys playing the biggest level in private equity, they are finance companies. And books like this really help maybe people like you and I that maybe haven't studied finance begin to actually think like a finance analyst or a banker, someone that works in the city, if you like, and understands how to read financial statements and cash flows and analyze all of the key metrics such as discounted cash flow, net present value, capitalization rate, cash on cash return, return on equity, internal rate of return, those kind of things that you don't learn at a property crash course. But if you want to play real estate in the bigger leagues, these are all things that you need to know, because as you begin to work with more sophisticated investors, if you can understand and speak about real estate in the same way as the guys with finance degrees, then you're going to be more successful in raising capital from the bigger wallets. Second question is, how do you ensure your team are accountable to perform at a high level with operations and or culture? So one thing that we do, if we think about my estate agency business, where we've probably got the biggest team out of the lot, we're operating in the upper echelons of the market. We specialize in the £1 million plus market, where our clients are high net worth, ultra high net worth, successful people. And in order for them to be confident enough to do business with us, I need to make sure my agents that are representing the brand and a team collectively are representing the brand in a way and coming across in a way which commands respect from these types of clients. And also, we want to make sure we're getting results for our clients, because if we're getting results for our clients, then that word is going to spread and that's going to be great for our brand. And the opposite is true. If we don't get great results for our clients and things aren't going, we're not delivering on our promises, then again, that word's going to be spread and it's going to be detrimental for our brand. And I like to think we're doing a good job. We've had a huge amount of success and sold a lot of property that maybe other agents have failed to sell, which is a testament to our training, our high performance culture. But the first thing, of course, is You don't want to let anyone into your organization that isn't a talent. The more I've probably hired close to 100 people now over the years. And hiring is a very difficult thing to do. But one thing I've noticed is when you do hire a true A player, they are worth their weight in gold. They are worth 10 or 15 other B players. Steve Jobs said the best product he ever built at Apple was his team. And you should focus on building the team that builds the business. And if you hire A's hire A's and B's hire C's. So if you hire A's, that's going to have this compound effect where that's going to attract even better talent. If you hire B's, that's going to attract even worse talent. And it goes without saying the top 20% of the agents in the business will probably produce 80% of the revenue because they are the A players. So you want to start by recruiting the right people from day one. And then what's worked well for me and I've experienced is we've got very clear on our vision, mission, and values as a company. So we have a clear vision that we're trying to achieve over the next 8 to 10 years. We have not only a vision, but a mission as well, which is slightly different. A vision is for us is kind of the wider, bigger picture beyond just ourselves of what we're trying to do. And then the mission is more of a selfish mission as a company. What are we trying to achieve as a company? What targets are we trying to hit? And then our values are kind of these core principles or core values that create a decision-making framework for kind of agents to follow. But it's also a good framework for recruitment to see whether someone is going to be a good culture fit. And so we take some of these 6 values. So it could be things like having excruciatingly high standards. It could be things like being better every day. And we can ask in the interview and recruitment process, what evidence we can try and see what evidence is there of someone that abides by those values. So we could ask a potential candidate, talk to us about your personal development journey so far. And then we can see, are they someone that invested in themselves, is constantly trying to get better every day? If they are, great, they're a good fit. If not, they're probably not going to be a good fit for our business. We could also ask candidates, what are some examples of areas of your life where you have excruciatingly high standards, and can you give us some examples? And if they give us some really good examples of how they have incredibly high standards of anything, it could be the fact that they like to just get their hair cut once a week and look good, or make sure their car is always clean, or they go to the gym every single day without fail because they command themselves to a high standard, or how they've delivered a good service, a great service for clients that is evidence of excruciatingly high standards in everything they do. That for us shows that they're going to be a good fit. And then what I've noticed about having these clear values as an organization, and on every team call we clearly kind of articulate them and get the team to give examples of how throughout that week they've done things that have been in alignment with those values. You can see how the team actually begins to really believe in these values and operate in a way that is true to them. On the flip side, you begin to spot team members that don't align themselves with the values, don't believe in them, and those are the ones that we part ways with, and either they leave the business or we ask them to leave the organization. And then the third point on that is you just have to lead by example. If you want a high performance culture, you've got to be a high performer, and you've got to show them that you're leading the team, you're the captain, and a lot of the eyes are on you. So you've got to make sure you're showing up for the team, you're doing what you say you're going to do, you're going to be the first one showing up to the calls on time, camera on, ready to go religiously, you're getting the work done, you're the first one in, last one out. And people want to work for someone they respect. And so if they respect you and they believe in the mission and the vision of a company, and they've got clear values that they can align themselves with, I think that's something that's worked for us in terms of extracting performance out of people. Just being clear on the standards that you expect as well. We have like a minimum standards document where if you don't want to play the game to these standards, that's fine, but just don't be on our team, which might sound pretty ruthless, but if you want to win, you need people with high standards, and your minimum standards or your hygiene standards need to be above average, above what's considered normal. Okay, third question is it important to know the area that you invest in opposed to just the deals stacking up? Wherever you decide to either invest your own money, or if you're looking to source properties for clients, whatever area it is, you do want to become an area expert and do your due diligence on the area. Location is so cliche, but it's one of the most important factors in a property deal. But do you need to spend time of growing up in the area? No, I think just asking local agents for advice, speaking to people that invest in the area, doing some research on various trends, what's happening in the area. Are there kind of some companies that are relocating there that's going to create a load of jobs? What are the crime rates? that kind of thing. But every area has these little pockets and these little micro locations where even just 1 or 2 roads can be much more attractive and much better to the adjacent 1 or 2 roads. So key is spend time in the area, walk the streets, drive around the roads, speak to people in the local area, do your research, speak to people that invest there, look for patterns. But it doesn't need to be an area that you've grown up in or spent years living in. Just an ample amount of research to give you the confidence before you should invest your money or find deals for somebody else is, in my opinion, it's very, very important. Okay, a great question here is, where would you say is the best region or place in the UK to buy your first property to flip? So this depends on 2 things. It depends on where you live currently, but also depends on how much capital you have or have access to. So if you're someone that lives in prime central London, or in central London where house prices are super high, there's going to be a higher barrier to entry in terms of you're going to need more capital to get into a deal. The second point of how much capital you have or how much capital you have access to, you want to think about, do you want to just use your own money for the first deal? I talk a lot about the importance of finding funding partners and coming in with private investors that you partner with that can fund your deals. Some people think, I've only got £20,000, so I'm going to go invest in the north of England where I can get a property for super cheap. I can refurb it for super cheap, and for 20k, maybe, make a decent margin of 7.5, 10, 15,000 pounds, whatever it is. But the property is like 3 hours away. I think you're solving for the wrong problem. My belief is you should actually invest where you'd want to invest. If money was no limitation, where would you invest? And if you think, well, I'd rather invest like 2 miles down the road, but property prices there are like 300k, the problem you then need to be solving is, well, how do I get access to the capital? How do I find the capital? Who do I need to partner with to be able to do those deals? And if you're not confident partnering with someone for your first deal, then absolutely don't. Only do it if you have a level of conviction in yourself and your skills and also the team that you've built around you. And then obviously you can do those deals that you want to do. If you just want to use your own capital, then you are going to be limited to areas where prices are lower. But your end goal should always be to invest where you want to invest and unlock that bottleneck of having limited finances by understanding how to raise capital from investors, how to find and attract these investors.